Hey everyone, welcome or welcome back. Today we're halfway through the year, so I thought it would be a good time for me to check out how I'm doing with regards to my 2022 reading goals. So let's go find out. So for the purposes of this check-in, I've actually got a few different sources that I'm going to go to for the information, and I'll just do a quick run through of how I'm getting on with regards to each of those. I didn't set myself any particular goals beyond certain books or series that I want to read. And I do also each year do the Goodreads reading challenge. So just a numerical kind of checklist as far as that one goes. But I don't set any goals in terms of genres that I want to read or, I want to read more of this author or that author or anything along those lines. For me, it's purely based on the titles. So, as I say, a few different sources. I'm going to start off with the easiest, which is that Goodreads reading goal. And this year, because I'm still kind of getting used to my, what I call my new reading speed, I guess, I've always been relatively slow, not reading too many books per year until the last year and a half. So I'm still getting used to what is my kind of overall annual figure at the moment. So I set this target at 36 books for 2022. 3 books per month, because I thought even if I do slow down a bit compared to last year, that should still be absolutely manageable. And at the time of filming this video, we're a couple of days to go until the end of June, and I'm currently reading book number 35 on that list and also listening to book number 36. So I'll finish at least one of those, possibly 2, by the end of June, and that will see me hit that annual reading target halfway through the year. So I'm really pleased with that. Not only has my reading not dropped off, it's actually improved in terms of the amount of books that I'm getting through. And it's not a game, it's not a race or anything like that. The only thing that matters is reading at your own pace and enjoying the reading. But for me, what it does mean, of course, if I read more books than I did a previous year, it just means that I can get to more books, and I love reading books, checking out new series, new authors, and if I'm only reading 10, 12, maybe even just 15 books a year, there's not too many that I can get to, especially if I want to continue reading books that I've already discovered, series that are ongoing by authors I already know. So I'm really, really pleased with how many books I'm reading, how many new authors and new series I'm discovering. So the next kind of little checklist for me is the reading goals video that I did at the start of the year, or at the end of 2021 maybe, of the various titles, various series in a couple of categories that I want to be getting to this year. So the first of those is a list of series that I said I wanted to finish. I'd already started these, they're all trilogies, and I wanted to finish them this year. So the first of those is the Lacanius by James Islington. I had one book left at the time of filming that video, and that was An Echo of Things to Come, and I actually read that in June. So that one has been ticked off the list now, and I have finished that series, so I'm really happy to have another tick in the completed series box for the year, because that one hasn't really seen too much movement so far. Second series on that list was The Farseer by Robin Hobb. I read Assassin's Apprentice in 2021, so I had the next 2 books in that series to go. I have made progress on this one. I read Royal Assassin a couple of months ago, so again I just have the last book in the series now to go, and that one is Assassin's Quest. So I'm not sure when I'll get to that one, but I'm still definitely on track to finishing that series this year. And then the third of these isn't necessarily a trilogy in the strictest sense. It's the trilogy of standalones though by Joe Abercrombie, which make up the Great Leveller set in his First Law world. So with that one I had read Best Served Cold, so again just had 2 titles to go on this one, Red Country and The Heroes. Haven't got to either of them as yet, but again I do intend to read them this year. I didn't necessarily have the best of times with Best Served Cold, but they are standalone, so it's a different kind of story, it's a different set of characters and so forth, at least for the main part from what I understand. So it's not going to be a continuation of the story that I didn't have the best time with in Best Served Cold. So still got those 2 to go, but I've got 6 months left of the year in which to do it. The next category was series to continue, and the first in this one was The Reborn Empire by Devin Madsen. I read book 1, We Ride the Storm, and really enjoyed it. I had a good time with that one. At the moment, at the point of filming, I haven't made any progress on this one, but I am intending to pick up that second book in the series anytime now. Then we have the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson, where I had read The Way of Kings but hadn't continued in about 10 years or so since reading that first book in the series. This one I have made some progress on, so I've got a tick, because the goal here isn't to finish the series, it's just to continue with the series. So I have read now book 2, which was Words of Radiance, and I am planning, because I enjoyed that one so much, I am planning to move on to Oathbringer and potentially Rhythm of War this year as well, to get myself up to date in that series as well. And then the third series in this category was a sci-fi series, The Expanse by James S.A. Corey. So I keep saying that I'm going to read book 2, the next one in my list, which is Caliban's War. It keeps appearing in my monthly MBRs, my might be read lists, but so far I just haven't quite got round to it. Again, I do intend to get to it before too long. It's just a case of how long is too long. But in the next couple of months, hopefully I'll be able to tick this one off the list as well. So the next 5 that make up the next category in this video were all single books. They were new releases for 2022, and going through them chronologically as much as I could with the release date information available at the time, I had Empire of Shadows by Alicia Wanstall-Burke, which was the third and final book in the Karaidec sagas. I actually read that one back in December, so I got a review copy from the author and read that to finish off 2021. So that one was a nice easy win. It was a tick before the year had even begun. Second in this list was The Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne, book 2 in the Bloodsworn, and again I got a review copy of this one and was able to get this one finished before release date. So the first 2 are the only 2 so far that have been released, but I have read both of them. The next 3 haven't been released as yet. 2 of them, I don't think we've got solid dates. The first one of them, though, should be coming out in August, unless that changes, and that is the third book in the Threadlight series by Zach Argyle, and that is Bonds of Chaos. So that's one of my most anticipated releases of the year, not only because I've really enjoyed the first 2 books, but because it is a final book in the series, and I'm really expecting this one to move over to my top 10 list of best completed series. So I'm really looking forward to reading it, to find out if it sticks the landing and to see how far up that list it makes. And then the other 2 were the next 2 books in the Bound and the Broken and the Illborn series. So we've got Of War and Ruin by Ryan Cahill and Age-Old Sin by Daniel T. Jackson. So again, really looking forward to those. I've really enjoyed the series for each of those titles so far, and hopefully by the end of the year both of those will have been released and I'll have read them as well. And then the final category in that particular video was the opening book of 5 series that were on my bookshelf. So this was my physical TBR. And with this one, I've got starting off with Dragon Mage by M.L. Spencer. And this one is one of the books that I am reading at the moment, so that will very soon be a tick on this list. I'm about halfway through Dragon Mage at the point of filming this video. Next up was The Bone Ships by R.J. Barker, book 1 in the Tide Child trilogy, and that one I've actually read the entire trilogy of, so that's a definite tick in that box. Third on the list is The Wolf of Oren-Yaro, book 1 in the Chronicles of the Bitch Queen. At the point of filming, I've not read this one yet. It's one of the ones that's on my MBR for July. It's been on an MBR in at least one other month this year so far, and I've not got to it, but hopefully in the next month or 2 I'll be ticking this one off the list. Book 4 on that list was The Black Coast by Mike Brooks, which I read a little while ago. I really enjoyed that one actually, so I'm looking forward to reading book 2 in that series, which is The Splinter King, and that one I imagine I'll be ticking off this year as well. And then the last book in that particular category and for that particular video was The Ember Blade by Chris Wooding, which again I read a couple of months ago and really enjoyed. So I think overall I've done quite well on the goals for that particular video. For the series, I'm going to call it 1.5 out of 3 that I've completed. Series to continue, I've only continued with 1 out of the 3 series there, but the other 2 I am planning to very soon. New releases, I'm on 2 out of 5, but it's the only 2 that have been released and have been available for me to read, so that one is a definite win. And then the physical TBR again is one that I've done really well with. There were 5 books within that category and I've done 4 at this particular point. So halfway through the year, I think I'm doing pretty well with regards to that list as well. So the next video where I set myself reading goals for 2022 was with regards to self-published works. So I've read a lot of self-pub this year, and that's obviously just increasing with my involvement in SBFBO. But with this particular video, I set myself a goal of reading 10 specific titles that at the time of filming had fewer than 100 ratings. And with this one, I'm doing pretty well. I've got 5 out of those 10 completed at this point in time. So I started off that video going from the title with the fewest ratings at the time of filming up to the title with the most, and at the bottom of that list, the one with the fewest ratings was The Hellborn King by Christopher G. Brenning. Still really looking forward to this one, but haven't got round to it as yet. I might do the audio of this, so it might be one that's coming up in the next month or two. We shall see. Then we had Ringlander, The Path and Away by Michael S. Jackson, and again, I haven't got to this one yet. I've picked myself up a physical copy of that now though, so I do have physical and digital available to me, and having a physical copy makes me a bit more likely to get to it sooner because I've got that kind of visual representation of it. It's there kind of staring me at the eye, especially when I'm working, because I've actually got it in a stack on my desk next to my computer at the moment, so I get a kind of constant reminder that that one is available to me. Army of the Cursed by Kareem Solomon is next up, and although I haven't read this one as yet, it is on my list for July reading, so by the time this video airs, I might have started this book already. Then we have Beckoning of the Gate by Benjamin J. Ryan, which is another of the titles I haven't read yet. But then we move on to Burn Red Skies by Kirsten Espinosa Rosero, which by the time this video airs, I will have read because I'm currently wrapping up that book just at the end of June. Blood of the Spear by Mark Timoney is next, which is another of the titles that I haven't read at this point. But then I finish off this list with 4 titles that I have read. So first of those is Cold from the North by D.W. Ross. We then have The Iron Crown by L.L. McRae, The Look of the King by Tom Dumbrell, and Winds of Strife by U.G. Gutman. So I've read 5 out of 10 on that list, and I've got another one planned in as a buddy read for July. So by the end of July, I should have 6 down, 4 to go. And then the last of the videos where I gave myself some reading plans, this one is kind of not an official one. It was just a list of series that I wanted to be started, or series I wanted to be in the middle of, because I was looking at the time series that I currently was in the middle of. So this one, although I've not included as official plans, I thought it would still be good to go through and see how many of those series I have ticked off, and there is a little bit of crossover. Some of these titles do appear in some of the reading plans videos as well. So again, I'm just going to run through those pretty quickly. We started off with a sci-fi title, The Protectorate by Megan O'Keefe. This one I was really looking forward to. I'd heard some good things about. I did read the first book, which was Velocity Weapon, but I didn't have the best time with it. It had some good points and some maybe not so good points, and that one went on to my soft DNF pile because I wasn't really enthused. I didn't have the motivation to move on relatively quickly with book 2 and book 3 of that series. The Iconoclast by Mike Shell, I haven't done yet. This one is a self-published trilogy that starts off with Aching God. Again, I've heard loads of good things. I've got some friends who have read this and really enjoyed it, so hopefully I'll enjoy it as well, but I haven't got to it as yet. Next up was the Koroidic Sagas by Alicia Wonstel-Berg. This one was a win because not only did I start this series, but I actually finished it, and finished it in 2021 actually. I finished the final 2 books in December of last year, so that one was a tick in the right box. And then the next one I've also started, and that was the God King Chronicles, which starts with the Black Coast. This is a trilogy by Mike Brooks, of which the 3rd book has just been released or is just about to be released. I'm not sure which it is, but I quite enjoyed that one, so I'm definitely looking forward to continuing that series. Next on that list was The Reborn Empire by Devin Madsen, which kicks off with We Ride the Storm. This is another tick. I did read the first book. I'm looking to continue that series at some point soon. I haven't as yet, but I will be, because I did have a good time reading We Ride the Storm. The next 2 series I haven't started as yet. The first of those is the Echoes of the Fall trilogy by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is one that comes up every now and then on my MBR kind of plans, the might be read books for the coming month, but I haven't got to this one as yet. This one starts off with The Tiger and the Wolf, and I am looking forward to this one because I do tend to have a good time reading this author's work. And the second of those series is the Chronicles of the Bitch Queen by K.S. Veloso, which, like Echoes of the Fall, keeps coming up in my MBR list but doesn't have a tick in its column as yet. The next series in this list was the Toy Child trilogy by R.J. Barker, starting off with the Bone Ships, and this one's got a big green tick in the column because it's another one that I've actually finished this series as well, so that was another win for me for this year. I then had The Five Warrior Angels by Brian Lee Durfee, which kicks off with The Forgetting Moon. And again, this is one of those titles that I keep meaning to start, meaning to pick up that first book and just not quite get into it. So hopefully by the end of the year, I will have found that time to start this one, but I'll have to wait and see. Next was The Band by Nicholas Eames, kicking off with Kings of the World, and this is another tick because I did start this series. I read Kings of the World just a month or two ago, didn't have the best time with it actually, so I'm not planning on continuing with Bloody Rose, but it is a tick for the purposes of this video because the aim was to start that series. And then the final one in that list was the Texcalan by Arkady Martin. This one is a duology which starts with A Memory Called Empire, and this one I listened to, and I think I was maybe listening to it either just after or at the same time as Kings of the World, and again it's one that I did not have a good time with, so that wasn't a great week or two of reading for me when I had those couple of titles. But again, it's a tick in the box because the aim was to be starting that series, and that's exactly what I did. So that's another list that, although not forming part of my official reading plans, I think I've done pretty well with. Halfway through 2022, I've started 7 of those series and I've just got 4 left. And 2 of those actually are part of my reading goals kind of officially for the year. So there's even more reason for me to be getting to those. And there we have it, that's my current progress halfway through the year in my 2022 reading plans, and this is definitely something for my benefit so I can see how far I've come in those goals and obviously to see how much I've got left for the back half of the year. Hopefully it was useful for you as well to see what I've been reading as kind of a snapshot over the course of the year, and again some idea of what I've got coming up in the second half of the year. If you're someone who sets reading goals as well, let me know in comments down below how you're getting on and what you need to do by the end of the year in order to complete them. If you found this video the slightest bit interesting, give it a thumbs up whilst you're down there, and you can also find in the description box as usual all the links to my social media channels and my support the channel links as well, including my book club Discord and my Patreon. I'll hopefully see you in another video soon, but until then, as always, take care of yourselves, read some good books. Bye for now.